All right, fellas, listen up. We got to have a bit of a talk. This is going to be more of a talking head video. I got some bullet points written down because I got things I want to cover and talk about regarding, Warzone, where it's at right now, Black Ops 7, BO7 Warzone, and of course, Battlefield 6. And the reason I want to talk about this is because Call of Duty is in a really interesting, weird, and a very uncertain state. And I'm normally a super optimistic guy. Like I'm a lifetime optimist, but there's things that I have to be realistic about in Call of Duty and the future of where it's going, and also how it affects me and really everybody else is something I do have to be realistic about. So I kind of want to just talk to you guys about where I'm at and kind of where I see things going. So the first thing that I got written down here is just kind of where Call of Duty's at right now, where BO6 Warzone is. So with the release of BO6, I mean, it was not a bad game, kind of on design. The Omni movement feels good. The base game feels pretty solid. It didn't stand out to me as a COD that was going to be like a generational COD, but it didn't seem like it was going to be something that was just bad, that was not fun and playable. And it was pretty decent, I'd say, for the first month, that it was out. And then of course we had the Warzone integration, but that's kind of where like the peak of everything was, where things were going good, because ever since really after that integration, things have not really been all that great. So for the BO6 Warzone integration, there was, I think, a numerous amount of bugs, some that actually played the game well into like season 2, 3, and 4. There was loadout bugs. There's so many different things going wrong. We had a really interesting development with having Area 99 being put into the game for, it seemed like, a few months, and then it was kind of gone and vanished like the wind with no mention of it made afterwards. It was like we had a resurgence map, a new resurgence map, but then it was yoinked. And I'm not gonna lie, it really wasn't all that great of a map, but it was like, where did it go? And also, where did some of the other previous resurgence maps that we've had go? Like, why didn't we have other maps come back in BO6 Warzone, like Vondel, or a reskin version of Ashika Island, or something else like that? They love reskinning and refurbishing things. Why didn't we get any of that? But apart from just the maps and everything, the whole integration was just essentially a mess. And it's only up until basically about season 4, season 5, that's when it started being really polished and feeling like it probably should have, upon actually being put into the game, meaning there's like no bugs and stuff like that. But in the midst of all the bugs and everything happening, we had a very lackadaisical amount of seasonal content that actually was interesting. The weapon integrations were okay. A lot of the other stuff that we had was very mid, like the general updates themselves. We've had almost virtually no seasonal camo challenges, attachments to be able to get that meant something. Last year in MW3 Warzone, Sledgehammer did a fantastic job giving us reasons to get on the game. We have, like, in my account personally, I've unlocked probably about 50 to 60 different event and weekly challenge camos for all the MW2 and MW3 guns. But for BO6, I probably have 2 to 3 camos. And that's just like challenges and stuff that should actually be in the game and that keeps people coming back. And we have virtually none of that. That's why the camo swaps are so popular, because there's only good camos on the guns that really aren't that good in Warzone, which is a whole nother topic. But just to kind of briefly talk about that, a lot of the MW2-3 guns are basically trash, unusable. If you're not using a BO6 gun, you're kind of lost in the sauce, which was very unlike the previous iteration of Warzone 1, where during Vanguard Warzone, we had the ability to use 3 games worth of guns, and every game had guns that were actually viable and usable, and it made for a really fun and enjoyable experience. And we also had maps, like multiple maps, like we had Fortune's Keep, we had Rebirth Island, and then of course there's Verdansk and Caldera, and there's all this other sort of stuff. So Warzone 1 was a lot better off, at least in that regard. And you don't even have to get me started on things like the collaborations we've had this year. I'm gonna keep it a full stack. Like, I'm all for collaborations. I like it when we have stuff like, I think we had, was it a Terminator event back in, was it Warzone 1? We had like, the Towers event, and we had like, the Terminator, stuff like that. That was actually pretty cool, stuff like that. Then we had, the Terminator skin and stuff get added in to BO6, which obviously is one of the most sweaty, hard to hit skins. And he also doesn't shut up. He continuously talks, so I can't even run him in my videos because he continuously swears, and that also affects my other short form content because they don't want to hear constant swearing in that too. The overall collaborations this year have just been absolutely garbage, completely god awful. I think the Squid Games was actually not bad. That was pretty solid. I don't mind Squid Games, but the Beavis and Butthead, I think that integration right there almost was like the nail in the coffin for a really bad integration for COD and just pissing people off, because those skins are the most annoying thing I think that have gotten added into the game. I hate seeing them. I hate hearing them. Honestly, they are trash, and it is one of the worst things we've had in the game. When you combine that, like that integration right there, with all the issues we faced previously, which I mean, it'd take probably an hour-long video to even just discuss everything in detail. When you combine all those things together, that is what set people off and being like, you know, COD this year is complete garbage, because all they care about is just getting, you know, money and not really providing good content for the people. And yeah, to kind of put all that together and summarize it all up, that's kind of what gives us where we're at with Warzone right now, which it's not like a bad state in terms of playability. It's just there is no hype, there's no excitement, there's nothing fun, you know, it's just kind of stale and boring, honestly. And then also there's the whole cheating epidemic, which has been going on for a long time, so that plays into something we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, I don't need to get started on the cheating thing, because COD anti-cheat is still an absolute joke. So let's talk here a little bit about Black Ops 7. I'm not a creator that gets invited to go to these types of things. I just, you know, Activision doesn't want to bang my line. They don't want to hit my business email, and for whatever reason, I don't know. But from all the footage that I've seen, from all the people that I've talked to, that I'm friends with, that have actually gone to the event, played the game, and also now with the beta having been out for about 24-ish hours now, I played it actually a really good bit. A max rank. I've been relatively enjoying myself. I will say that what kind of taints the experience is the fact that the only people that are on the game seemingly are using their last $70 because they're unemployed to be able to actually buy the game and get a beta code or something like that, because it is like I'm fighting for my life. It's kind of like I'm playing ranked play, which it's, you know, I don't care to play ranked play. You know, that's not something I ever really care about. And so when I'm playing that in a new game, trying to have fun, it just doesn't work. I assume that'll change when obviously more people get access to it and it becomes fully open. But as of right now, yeah, the experience is a little bit not as good as it could be just because of that. But getting back on topic, from everything I've seen and played, the game actually feels pretty good. But there is an exorbitant amount of hate towards Call of Duty, probably because of everything I mentioned with BO6 Warzone and just Black Ops 6 in general, and well, Call of Duty and their history of not really doing things right. There is a lot of people that have a great distaste towards COD, even though Black Ops 7 might be a very well-made game. Like, it takes all the pieces from games that we like Black Ops 3, 2, 4. There's little elements from everything that, honestly, if you are an OG Call of Duty player and you've played and you put a good amount of time into it, you'll recognize these things and you'll be like, oh wow, like this actually is pretty decent. I'm one of those people that thinks Black Ops 3 is probably one of the better games we've ever gotten. It was just incredible for the time, way ahead of its time. So when I see a lot of those elements in this game, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a good game. And they have lined up a crazy amount of support. There's going to be weekly challenges, things happening, you know, all the time to keep people engaged. It's not going to be anywhere close to the literal drought of content that Black Ops 6 had. It's just not going to be a thing. So BO7 looks very bright in terms of the future of planned content, things they're doing, the feedback they're listening to. So I have high hopes for that. I just think there's an overwhelmingly bad sentiment for Call of Duty that is probably going to be very hard to bypass, and it's going to result in the game probably underperforming, and there's going to be just a lot of hate on it when it comes out. And you know, that's something I have to take into consideration because making videos is my job. And if there's not good sentiment, and there's not people actively looking for the game and interested in it, that means that the viewership reflects that. And it's like, you know, that's just not good for me or really anybody that does this, or, you know, does it for a living, streams, creates videos, long, short form, whatever you do. It's just kind of bad all around. And as far as, you know, for me, content wise on Black Ops 7, I will say that, you know, as long as the game is looking good and we have good updates coming out and everything like that, come November 14th when the game drops, you will see Black Ops 7 content from me. And that's just because, well, I can't imagine Warzone really getting much better, getting much more juiced. And this is something that I have to think about, where it's like, you know, you can only put so much content out there and try to make good videos. And if there's no audience to watch them, it doesn't matter how good your packaging of the video is. You can't force people to care about something that they don't care about. If they don't play the game, they're not going to watch a video from me, a setup, a top 5. They don't care about any of that. If they don't watch the game, they don't play the game actively, I mean, they're not going to watch my content. They're not. So it's something I just got to consider and think about. And I think probably Black Ops 7 will be something I will add into my content or strictly focus on, at least until season 1. But I want to talk more about content I'll be focusing on or potentially diving into here in just a sec. Now let's kind of jump into BO7 Warzone, because this right here is like the biggest, I want to call it like a yellow to red flag, because we have almost virtually no good information about what's going to be happening. We know a ton of what's going on with multiplayer in terms of, you know, the content that's coming, weekly things, events, whatnot. But for Warzone, there's almost like nothing that we really know of good concrete information that shows, hey, the future is bright. They know what they're doing. It's like this multi-billion-dollar corporation that controls all this doesn't seemingly think that putting out a brand new battle royale map or brand new resurgence map or kind of labeling all these things out after having a really trash year matters. And they're waiting till like 2026 springtime to do something like that. So we have the new resurgence map, Haven's Hollow, which I saw the gameplay of it. Honestly, it doesn't look bad. It's colorful, which is something I like. I want maps that are colorful, that are vibrant. When you have something that's dull and dreary, or just different shades of brown, like Area 99 was literally just different shades of brown and beige, and it wasn't really a fun map to look at. Like, there was nothing visually appealing about Area 99. So Haven's Hollow is a massive upgrade in the visual department, but the thing is that it's just technically a, you know, Liberty Falls, which I'm not a big zombies person, so it's not like I'm gonna have that like fatigue of already having played the map. And I know Rebirth technically is Alcatraz, you know, a zombies map that they made into Black Ops 4 Blackout, which we'll be talking about Blackout in a sec. So I think, you know, Haven's Hollow is gonna probably be a good map, and I think that is one of like the lone little like shining things that is with Warzone right now. And to get into big map, like, I'm not a Verdansk big map player. I personally don't really care. The pacing of it's not that fun for me. I think it's really slow. It's not something that I'm interested in, so I don't play Verdansk. But I know that everybody in all aspects of the Warzone community has to be taken care of in order for everything to thrive. So when we take a look at Verdansk, we got like what, 2 new POIs. Don't really care. Like, we should be having a full brand new map, not a couple refreshed POIs and maybe a couple of things that were technically already there. So it's like we got a refreshed Verdansk in a different couple POIs, and maybe POIs that have really technically almost already been there. Who really cares about a couple POI changes? It's not a brand new map, and it's still the same thing we've had for how many years now. It's not really anything new. The only new like map is of course Haven's Hollow, and then we have Avalon, which is going to be coming out, but that's like such a weird thing that they got going on with Avalon, because it's not coming to regular Warzone, it's coming to BO7 Blackout. For those of you guys that don't know what Blackout is, or you just kind of like, what's Blackout, because they didn't disclose any information on it. Well, Blackout is essentially, you know, the first battle royale from Call of Duty way back in Black Ops 4, which that map was fantastic. Avalon is supposed to take a lot of homage from that, you know, that map in, you know, that game mode, which that's super cool. But one thing that really confuses me is they didn't label out anything on what's going to be happening with Avalon, and if it's going to be part of regular Warzone, if it's only going to be for Blackout. Like, what are they doing with Warzone? Are we going to have 2 competitive free-to-play battle royales and slightly different genres? Because Blackout, you had to loot for your attachments. There was no loadouts, no loadout drops. So what are they doing? There's literally nothing put out there besides, oh, there's this graphic that says Avalon and BO7 Blackout in spring 2026. First of all, like, not labeling anything, not telling us anything, that's like, what are you doing? And then for it to be in spring 2026, it's like, hold up, are we talking like March, April 2026? We got like what? That's like 6-7 months away. And we got to wait for a new map? Like, we have how many billions of dollars poured into Call of Duty, and we're not getting a new map upon release of season 1, and it's going to be maybe stuck away in a different mode. I don't even know. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't make sense, and it pisses me off that nothing was talked about. The only other really good thing besides we got a new Resurgence map is that Raven now will have full autonomy to control Warzone and weapon tuning, and they don't have to go through other studios for approval, which I'm not really sure why that was a thing anyways. But listen, I don't make the rules. I don't run the thing. If I did, things would be looking a lot better and a lot different. Because I firmly believe there's actually some idiots in charge over there. So with all that being said, BO7 Warzone's kind of where I am really confused about where to go with content, because I have to think about it from a perspective of, hey, this is my job and I want to have actual job security. And that's one reason I post Call of Duty and not something like Fortnite. I did that for a few years, but Fortnite had so many crazy highs and lows that it made for very inconsistent viewership and income. And Call of Duty allowed for that stable consistency year over year, and I just enjoy COD actually more. Like, COD's got me by the balls. Like, it's had me since 2009, right? Like, I've been playing COD for a long time and I just enjoy it. But when I look at the future of Warzone and kind of what's been laid out, it's like it doesn't give me a lot of hope for where the franchise is going. And if we don't have it good right now and viewership is way down in the dirt, then I'm not really kind of optimistic for where it's gonna go. And so that means I might start implementing other games and things into content, because listen, this is my job and I got to do something, and I can't hold on for, I think was it J God made a video, you know, said his kind of goodbye and gave his thoughts and opinions, where he said you don't want to hold on to, you know, there being a carrot on the stick in front of you, you know, for 7 months down the road and hope that it's going to be better. It's like, you can't really hope. Activision's going to do a lot of really good things now. Like, they've definitely far exceeded that hope and like trust in them. Like, me and the people don't really got a whole lot. Now to get to the part about Battlefield 6. So if you would have told me, you know, a few years ago, back when 2042 came out, because me and my buddy Ears, for those guys that watch multiplayer, me and him, when Battlefield 2042 was coming out, we said, hey, you know, this is going to be potentially a really good game, and we are going to make YouTube channels to actually post content on Battlefield 2042. Well, the game was so unbelievably trash, and it was so broken, and it's been garbage the entire time it's been out. But the game was so bad when it came out that we were like, yeah, we're not touching this. And I really, frankly, have maybe 10 hours on the game. It's just like, and that was probably me trying to figure out how to even play the game. But if you would have told me based on that at, you know, a certain point I could put a community tab post, like a community tab post on my YouTube channel being like, hey guys, the next Battlefield title is coming out and I'm thinking about making some videos on it. Would you want to see content? And if you would have told me that I would be getting a 90% in favor of yes, make content on the game, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. Like, Call of Duty viewers wanting me to make content on Battlefield, and not just like a 60-40, a 90-10. That just goes to show the terrible sentiment COD has and how many people are riding the Battlefield 6 hype train, because the beta was phenomenal. The game felt great. It played like a finished game. Also, a fun little stat and statistic here is that apparently there was, someone tweeted this out, I saw this yesterday, that 30% of the players on Steam, which I know it's not indicative of every single, you know, player out there, but on Steam charts alone, 30% of the player base that owns Call of Duty that played, you know, the Battlefield 6 beta actually did not go back and touch Call of Duty again after that beta. And that's only Steam, not counting anybody on console, which, if I can judge by the sentiment on my comments on literally every platform, there's an overwhelming sentiment that COD is trash and Battlefield 6 is going to be it this year. So with that crazy amount of good sentiment and also in me actually enjoying Battlefield, I started playing back in Bad Company 1, which is, you know, probably somewhere around that 2009, 2008, 2010 mark. So I've played every single title up until this one, and I've not missed any of them. But I will say that, you know, I really did enjoy it. And if you can see, I can definitely see myself actually posting Battlefield content, just because Warzone's not going to get any better. There's just going to be a giant dry spot. And, you know, if there's people and there's a demand for it, you know, I want to make content that people are going to want to watch. And that's just like the base Battlefield game, like multiplayer, not to mention that they have their battle royale that's coming out. A lot of people are speculating that that drops on like October 28th, which will still be weeks before Black Ops 7 comes out, which means that Battlefield has like over an entire month head start on Call of Duty in order to be able to actually run it up and just have an absolute, you know, heater month and just suck all that player base in. All the people that hate COD are going to be on that like white on rice, and I will be one of those people that's on that game. And if, you know, people are enjoying the multiplayer, enjoying the battle royale, and if Black Ops 7 comes out and I'm still doing really well on that and posting that stuff, I don't know. I'm going to have a hard decision to make. It just puts me in a weird spot as being someone that really enjoys COD, but also it's like COD just leaves me with a really uncertain future. And of course, I got to do what's best for me and my channel, and I got to go where there's people that are actually going to want to watch content, because frankly, COD has got so much negativity. It's kind of ridiculous. And if I'm making this video right now, kind of disclosing all these things and talking about this and being very candid, that's when you know COD is kind of like a little bit shocked. BO7 is probably going to be good. It's probably going to have a lot of content, but going forward, I think that I'm definitely going to have to implement some Battlefield content, whether it be Battlefield multiplayer, Battlefield Battle Royale. 100% going to check that out regardless of how Warzone videos are doing. Just got to check it out. There's other good games coming out. Like, I'm not a like real extraction shooter person, but people like Arc Raiders, I might even give that a try just to play in my free time. If there's a huge community out there and I want to, you know, and I really like it, want to make some videos on it, maybe I'll sauce that up. Who knows? But I'm just going to be trying some things here because I gotta do something. And if COD's going to be just not doing that great, I don't want to be waiting around till spring somewhere 2026 and then for potentially something to go good, and then before you know it, it's May and we got Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out. No one cares anyway. So, you know, it's just one of those things. All right, I think I've rambled long enough. I just wanted to talk about everything. Thank y'all for sticking through. I just got a lot to think about. There's a lot of stuff coming up here. Hope y'all stay through, support me, hang out, you know, and stuff like that. I understand if you're a COD guy and you don't want to, perfectly fine. But listen, I'm just going to be making content, doing my thing, trying to make content on the games that I like and enjoy that are within my relative niche of first-person shooters and that military-esque aspect, which Battlefield falls in there. And of course, Black Ops 7 falls in there with multiplayer, but we're just going to see. It's going to be an interesting next month or so, and hope you guys enjoy what's to come. So thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.